Everyone thinks a lowball offer gets rejected because the number is just too low. And that is not why it actually gets rejected most of the time. If you're watching this video right now, you're likely in the market. You're probably not casually scrolling listings late at night, but you're looking for real properties. Maybe you're looking for a really good deal, something you can actually see yourself owning in the future, whether you're turning 40, buying your first place later than you ever expected, or maybe you've never actually written an offer at all, but the market is giving you a little bit of hesitation because you want to offer a lot less than what the properties are actually valued for. That fear is actually built up on a little bit of a myth. I have watched sellers reject an offer and then accept a lower offer from a completely different buyer the very next week. Same house, same market, lower dollar figure in some cases, and it is just accepted. Why? Because the number was never the primary variable in the whole discussion. The story behind the number was actually mattering a lot more than the number itself. So when you send a seller a low price with zero strategy behind the whole offer itself, you aren't actually negotiating. You are just guessing. You get the door slammed in your face most of the time. You get a sour response from the seller, from their agent, and you walk away assuming lowballing doesn't actually work in today's market. But we know it does. We see it happen all the time. We were able to get some really crazy deals in the last 30 days for our clients. It works all the time, only if you give the seller the specific structural leverage that makes a lower number feel like the safest decision that they can actually make. This becomes a true psychological game when you're trying to buy a property and get your lowball offer considered. If you've been circling the market, pre-approval is ready to go, you're kind of itching and getting in, don't hesitate to put in a lowball offer. Your agent should be acting in your best interest, and if your best interest is putting in an offer that makes sense for you in today's market, then they should be able to pull the trigger for you. If you have any questions about doing that in today's market, you can always connect. That's why I have my link in the description box down below for us to connect. Now, here's what actually is going to determine whether a seller is going to accept the low offer, how much they will trust that your deal is actually going to make it to the finish line. They want to know what the big picture is. Most sellers in today's market are extremely anxious. They get their home ready, they put it on the market, and then they watch homes around them sell. They watch the neighbor's home sell, but the deals actually collapse on a financing or a home inspection. And then they start to second guess themselves. The longer they're on the market, the more hesitation and the less confidence they actually have as a seller. If you want a lowball offer to be successful, you don't want to send that in on day 1, day 2, or day 3. You want to let the market digest that home, see what people actually think. If the seller is going without people getting in there for months on end, even weeks on end, they start to feel a little bit less sure of the price, of the decision of putting their home on the market at this time. A seller who is terrified of getting burned will absolutely take less money from a buyer who represents guarantees certainty on that offer. So if you're going with a lower price, but you're going in with some more certainty, maybe you don't need a financing, maybe you've got a little bit of a document that you can show. If you want to show them your pre-approval, that is going to take some of the question marks and some of the uncertainty away from the whole situation itself. Certainty is the real currency when you are offering and when you're actually doing a low ball offer. The dollar figure ends up being secondary. So before you even talk about the price with your agent, fix the 3 parts of the contract that signal risk when you are going to actually write that contract to the buyer. The first one is the conditions. Of course, every condition you attach is an exit door for you, but it's also an exit door that the seller thinks that you're going to run through the moment you get a chance. Financing, inspection, status, sale on your current home. To a seller, each one of these is a reason that the deal might actually die and a reason why they won't consider your pricing. You don't need to go in reckless with zero protection, because I would not tell you that's a great idea, but you should strip out some of the fluff, some of the additional conditions on smaller things if you don't need them. If you need the protection, that's one thing to make sure you protect yourself. The second thing is the closing date. Stop writing closing dates that you are choosing. Convenience the seller in what they're looking for. Let them feel like they actually got a little bit of a win here. Start doing your offer, giving the seller, where you can, some easy wins. So that way, they're not going to win on the price, but at least they can win on the closing date or some of these additional terms. Now, the third thing is proof and not a promise for them. Attach that rock solid pre-approval letter directly to the offer. not just a verbal, trust me, the financing situation is great. They are good for it. This is not as good as actually giving them something that they can see on paper. Put down a meaningful deposit showing them how financially stable you are. These aren't just some administrative details when you're doing an offer. These are actually proof for the seller that maybe this deal will come to that finish line like you want it to. In today's market, we see deals falling apart all the time, so give that seller some confidence. Get these 3 things right, and your low offer stops feeling like an insult to the sellers, and it starts looking like the cleanest, safest exit that they might have in today's market. Now, I'm curious where you're at with this. If you've been watching the market lately, if you've been watching these videos, what is the single biggest thing that might be keeping you from actually putting in an offer right now? Under asking, way under asking in some cases. Is it the fear of offending the seller? Or is it just you not being sure if your pre-approval holds up under pressure once you actually put an offer on paper? Drop it in the comments. I would love to know where you guys are at, because I know every single one of you is in a different position. I am no stranger to putting in low offers, and I give the story as to why I'm giving this offer. It's not an insult. So I make sure that my clients are actually protected in this strategy that we're going to go in, not at the most appealing price or the seller. Now, how do you actually determine how low you can actually go without blowing up the entire deal? One thing you definitely don't do is you don't just guess, and you don't just look at days on market. Days on market tells you how long the listing has been cold, but the seller's purchase history, to me, tells you how much price pain they can actually absorb. Before my clients write a single number on paper, we look at 2 specific data pieces. When did the seller buy the property, and what did they actually pay for the specific property? This is going to actually reveal 3 distinct seller profiles, and each one is going to require a completely different lowball strategy from me and from you putting in that offer. The first strategy would be the high equity veteran, we'll call them. You bought 8+ years ago, you got lots of equity here. The situation is they bought long before the market actually ran up, which is good for you. Their mortgage balance is either tiny or it's completely paid off in some cases, depending on how long they've owned this property. The motivation here is they are not worried about losing money. They're worried about wasting time or holding out for a price that the market is not giving anymore. Strategy for this type of seller, if their house is on the market for 30 days or more, this is where you can be aggressive. 8% to 10% below asking is reasonable. Why? Well, because every dollar above the original purchase price is still pure profit for them. You frame the offer around fast, clean closing, and give them that win in that closing date that they're actually looking for. The second type of seller is the equity trapped owner. We talk about this one all the time. They bought at the peak. They bought in 2022 or 2023. They bought at the absolute top of the market with a massive mortgage. We know everybody took on a ton of mortgage. They are being stubborn in this case because they're greedy. They're being stubborn because they take a lowball offer. You literally have to bring cash to the closing table. Let's say you bought your home for $700,000. It's worth $600,000 today, and you have this gap of $100,000 you need to make up. You're actually going to be pulling that as the seller out of your accounts. It is a brutal position to be in, and it's not a great position to actually put an offer in on some of these sellers. The raw price here for lowball, it almost always fails, no matter how long this one sits on the market. If you want a discount, you should probably look at one of the other sellers, because these guys, they literally can't afford to sell it to you. They're almost in the position where the bank's going to take it in some cases, and they just can't afford to give you 50, 100 grand off the asking, 5, 10%, whatever that might look like. The third type of seller is that deadline seller. You've got some life events happening. You got your property on the market. Maybe it's an estate sale, a power of sale, a corporate relocation situation, or the seller who they did the wrong thing. They already bought firm on another property. Now you have 2 potential mortgages kicking in next month or in 60 days. So your motivation is pretty high. Carrying costs and anxiety are going to outweigh price. Every single month, they hold the costs in thousands of dollars on that second mortgage that is going to come in and just drain their savings account. Strategy for these guys, you calculate their monthly carrying costs, show them what waiting on the market is actually going to do for another 60 days. This is going to cost them something in real dollars here. It's not a fantasy situation. The longer they wait, the more they're going to pay for these 2 mortgages, and make your low offer the cheaper alternative to actually holding out for another 30 or 60 days. The golden rule for me of doing a lowball offer here, you never make the lowball offer because that's just what you feel like offering on the property. That pisses sellers off. Make your low offer by using public data and the seller's own timeline to prove why your number is only the rational option that they have to choose from right now. Make the data the bad guy, not your actual buyer who's trying to secure property for a great deal in today's market. Now, I've got for you guys the lowball execution checklist here. Number one is you're going to want to pull the land registry data, identify the seller profile. You're also going to want to check when you're looking at that seller profile, how trapped they actually are, and if there is a deadline. Number three is solve their timeline for them with that closing date, maybe remove some of these rough and fluffy terms. Number four would be justify that price. Make it make sense, find some comps, find some reasoning as to why your offer is coming in where it's coming in. Now, a word of warning, I would never advise that a client strip away any critical protection here like we've talked about just to win on a deal when it comes to the pricing side of things. This isn't confidence. That's something that can expose people when I'm working with them. And when I'm representing you as your buyer representative, I want to make sure you are not exposed. If there are some genuine concerns with the property, with that home, you want to keep your inspection condition. You definitely need to keep your financing condition, and you need to look at that condo corporation documentation to see what that corporation's financial standing is. The goal, it's not zero risk at all. It is to make the offer more appealing at the end of the day, just a little bit more appealing, and to give that seller some more certainty that this deal will go to the finish line, even if they're not really bought in on the price out the gate. Only give up your leverage if you can actually afford to give it up and if it makes sense in that situation. Now, the thing that most people who are right now sitting on that sidelines or sitting on that fence need to actually hear, because we have this conversation a lot with people who are calling us, waiting for a better market, because we're actually in a great buyer's market right now, it doesn't remove any of what we've talked about today. If you put your search on pause for 6 months or even a year, hoping that things will get better, get easier, the exact same negotiation is going to be waiting for you on the other side of that. The only thing that changes is the baseline price that you're negotiating from in most of these cases. And sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the perfect property and some clarity in your decision making, it might just cost you some equity and some options on the market. We know right now is a great buyer's market. There's tons of options. We don't know what the next 6 months to a year looks like, so there's no guarantees if we're going to have the same type of leverage in the future. You aren't behind because you don't know how to do this in a lot of cases, whether you've been renting for 5 years, just kind of sitting on the fence for a while. You might have thought in 2019, I wish I bought, but now we're looking at 2019 prices again. So you've been given that same opportunity to get into the market and to use the lowball strategy here to get yourself a property that makes sense for you at a price that makes sense for the future. You need to bake into your offer any downside that the market might have. If we think the market's going to go down another 5%, let's bake that into our offer and make it make sense for you to get in the market today or in the next couple months or whenever makes sense for you. Hopefully you can use this moving forward to secure a property or at least to put yourself in the best potential position if you're looking to buy something in today's market. If you don't have anybody helping you, you can always reach out, click the link in the description box, book a call, and we can go find you a property for a fantastic price. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.